Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing very well. I apologize for if I look rough, although I kind of don't apologize. I'm trying to wear less makeup and I'm trying to not feel the pressure of having to be glam in every video that I do, because I put off filming just because I don't want to do my makeup. It's just such a long thing to do, and I'm like, no, let me wear less makeup and don't dread filming. Genuinely, I'm like, I put off filming because I'm like, right, I might have to spend an hour and a half before getting ready for it, looking nice and presentable. And I'm gonna be real, it's 9:15 on a Sunday night. I don't want to do a full face of makeup. It's the last thing I want to do. So I'm also in my pajamas too. I don't want to put normal clothes on. I hate wearing normal clothes. Oh my god, my boyfriend will laugh at me because anytime I'm wearing normal clothes, I'll wear stuff for like 3 hours and then I turn to him and I'm like, I'm getting overstimulated. I can feel my clothes on me. I need to put pajamas on. Like this one time I cried in the car on the way home from a journey because I was like, I'm in such a bad mood because I can feel my clothes and I just want pajamas. Get cozy, get your pajamas on. We're having a little nice time over here. So for today's video, I am going to be talking about Pretty Little Liar plot lines or storylines that I would get rid of because they were just so either ridiculous, made no sense, which is like kind of the entirety of Pretty Little Liars, I'm not gonna lie, or they were just kind of unexplored and therefore. But I'm also going to talk about storylines that I would rewrite or do differently because the show could do with a lot of work. We're starting with Ian's whole death situation. I really liked when they were going down the route of, oh, he didn't actually do it to himself, it was A that did it. I really liked it. But I felt like the conclusion of it kind of wasn't explored exactly. They just found Ian's body with a note and then connected it to A. I felt like the conclusion of it was a bit rubbish. I feel like they could have done more. You know, with Alison's body, should we say Bethany? That's another one we're going to talk about. When her body would just like randomly show up here and there, and like bones were missing and the liars were sent teeth, blah blah blah. I feel like we could have done something with that with Ian. I feel like Ian was such a big character in season 1 and it was such a big plot point too, that the conclusion of it to me personally felt a little bit weak. I loved the lead up to it. I loved kind of Melissa sneaking behind everyone's backs and thinking Ian is still alive. I really enjoyed that. But then just the conclusion of it, we never really got full clarification on how exactly Ian did die. We just know that A did it. But I would have loved to have kind of seen in the flashback what exactly happened at the bell tower after the liars had left and Ian had supposedly died. I would have loved to have a little flashback to Mona, in this case, transporting Ian's body, which, by the way, like, I feel like Mona doing that, she couldn't, like, just with her frame, I don't know. I just feel like, not that I want to drop it completely, but it needs change. It needs reworking. It just felt weird to me, the ending of it. I think, obviously, the big one that I would drop is the whole Alex Drake, Spencer's twin, the British.
That is such a classic Spencer line.
I 100% would have changed. I would have dropped it. Not even changed it. I would have dropped it. In my eyes, I think the show should have ended after Cece. I would have changed how Cece's storyline ended because I think a lot of people weren't happy with that. I don't mind Cece being A, by the way, but I think the conclusion of it was a little bit weak compared to what it could have been. I would have killed the show there. I think season 7 and season 6B above is so unnecessary and I think ruins so much of the show. I'm going to talk about other storylines that I would have dropped completely, but there was so much in season 7 that I was like, okay, this is weird, this is unnecessary, and it's very much a show carrying on for too long and kind of becoming its death type of thing. But other storylines that I would have dropped was the whole Ren egg stealing eggs from Emily, Ren being the father, Alison having the twins, because I think that was done so weirdly. I think that was such a fan doing, because people liked Alison and Emily, of course, and wanted them to have a family, blah blah blah. So I feel like the writers did that for fan satisfaction rather than it kind of making sense and not making sense, but kind of being good to the story. Especially when you find out that they get divorced later on, so it's kind of like there's no point to this. I think Pretty Little Liars consistently had a problem with serious topics not being done well enough, like Spencer's addiction and a lot of Hannah's stuff too. And I think this was one that was done badly as well, because this is SA, this is not a nice thing, and they kind of portrayed it as, oh my god, we're having twins, Emily, Alison, woo. And it was a thing of like, Emily, you just kind of have to like deal with it, which I felt was really, really odd. I would have dropped that completely. I would have not done that. Obviously I would have not had Alex be AD. I would have Ren to be AD, I'll be honest. I would have liked Ren to be Charles if I had it my way, so that's another storyline that I would change. But I think Ren being A makes a lot of sense, and there's so much evidence to it. And there's that whole thing of like, oh, it was supposed to be Ren, but it got leaked and they changed it, and like the actor's schedule couldn't like fit in with it. But I still feel like they could have made it. No one wants to work these days and make good storylines. Yeah, I would have had Ren as AD or Charles, personally, because it just makes so much. I truly, in my heart, like to think that the show were originally going for Ren or Arya to be A, because it just makes so much sense. And the way they write Ren's character and they write around his character, it's very interesting. And I really enjoyed Ren's writing, really enjoyed that character in terms of his villainous thing kind of coming forward and being hinted at a lot, and the fact that he obviously like worked in Radley and was a doctor like just added so much to it. So yeah, we're dropping Alex as AD and Cece as Charles, even though I do like Cece as Charles if they had like written it better. But I would have ultimately ended the show at season 6A. It didn't need the extra bit. I think that was just too much, and it destroyed a lot of character arcs too. It destroyed Hannah and Caleb, and Spencer I see completely different in that season too because of the whole Caleb thing. Just so many arcs in that season was completely ruined and abandoned, and I didn't like it. I didn't vibe with it, so I would drop that entire season, if I'm being completely honest. I think I never really get angry at TV shows, but I think Alex Drake was genuinely the first time I got angry at a finale, because I was genuinely like, what is this? Like, this is not good writing. And I felt like it was just such a cop-out, and it was just such a, what are we doing? What are we doing? Genuinely, that was the first time I was like angry at a TV show. Most of the time I get over it if I don't like it, but genuinely I was angry. I was like, what? Along with this, I'd also drop the continuous twin thing. It was cool with like Mary Drake and Jessica, but that's enough. That's enough. We don't need twin after twin after twin. It's also not a genetic thing where if a parent has a twin, twins would just run in the family like continuously in each generation. That's not that likely, especially identical twins. Sorry, normal twins, non-identical twins, it can be, but identical, no. The continuous twin thing, let it go. Oh my god, you should be at the club. Let it go. It's okay. It's okay. We can leave the twins alone. We can do that. I got real sick of the twin stuff once we had got to like Alex and Spencer, because having Alex and Spencer and then Emily and Alison having twins when Alison's mum was a twin. Give it up, guys. Enough's enough. I would have dropped the twin thing after Mary Drake and Jessica, I'll be honest. I loved it with them. I really liked Jessica and Mary's story, actually, with their writing and their villainous writing. I really, really enjoyed that. However, one set of twin, fine. Two sets of twins, okay. We get it. You are repeating yourself, but I'll allow it. Another set of twins. Oh my god, guys. We gotta get back in the writing room. We have got to get back. I don't know what that was. I was real sick of it. They took the whole Bethany and Alison thing from the books and was like, right. No, because we're gonna do this. But for every generation. Give it up. Oh my god. I would have dropped the Alex twins and the Emily twins, I'll be honest. I would have done neither. I would have done absolutely neither of them. So my next one is I would have changed or dropped Ezra being alive. You know when Ezra got shot in the season 4 finale? Was it season 4 or season 5? 4, I want to say. He got shot by A, but he survived. I would have changed it and I would have dropped this storyline, and I either would have had him go prison when the whole Arya relationship got exposed, or I would have left him dead. I think A did amazing work there, I'll be honest. Shauna, my love, I raise a toast. I do. I think that was a good time to say goodbye to his character because of the whole, the backlash of the relationship. I guess back then it wasn't really a backlash because, like I've said before, people have only really realised it was wrong as we've grown up. Would have just ended him there sooner if I could have had it. I think that was a good time to be like, okay, we're drawing a line under this, because I feel like that finale, I really liked it first of all, but also that could have been a good time for a new start. Alison's coming back. I feel like the characters could have had a new start to their lives, and getting Ezra out of their lives, Arya's life, would have been really nice. It would have been really, really nice. So I would have let him just die there. Like, not to be a hater, but like I will be. He should have just, like, because I also would have dropped the whole Ezra redemption arc, like him falling in love with Arya, also Arya's parents being so against it, with fast forwarding to the finale of the show where the parents were suddenly okay with it, and then Ezra was just deemed as this like romantic, oh my god, we're so in love, like, person. I would have dropped that redemption arc completely. I think the show has a thing with redemption arcs because I would have also got rid of Alison's redemption arc. I think Alison, when she came back from the dead, was so boring. I loved when she was dead, and when we only kind of learned about her through flashbacks and things like that. I loved that. I think that was so cool because we just saw her as this mean, horrible person, and everyone was scared of her, and everyone was, like, you'd mention her name and people would get like goosebumps, blah blah blah. And them bringing her back and doing this redemption arc was probably the worst thing they could have done for the show. She came back and she was very bland. I like when she came back actually and they did the whole Mona death, framed Alison for it. I enjoyed that, but then after that her character went absolutely nowhere, and ultimately at the end of the show she's a character that you just don't really recognize anymore, and I just don't like where it went. I really don't like where it went, so I would have dropped that storyline too. She was so fascinating when she was alive. I mean, when she was dead. And I ultimately would have changed it so that she was dead. She either did the whole comeback in the finale when she was like, you know, turning around in that red coat and she gave us the answers, blah blah blah. If she had left after that, perfect, you know, she's told us the truth, she's told us what's happened, but she doesn't want to come back to Rosewood. Brilliant, would have loved it. Let's do that. And then we have a new storyline which is more kind of Spencer stuff. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I also, it would have been interesting to keep her dead, and you know, this whole time we're like, oh no, she's actually alive, she's actually dead, she is actually dead, and we find out that someone killed her. Like, actually, like, she would have got up from the Cece thing, Cece wouldn't have been the final hit, but like, someone else was. I like it. I think everything Sarah Harvey I would eliminate from the show as well. Sarah Harvey is a character who genuinely riles me up because her presence on the show is so pointless. I thought they were really leading towards something with her. Maybe she was Bethany or whatever, but genuinely her presence was useless. I still don't really get the point of Sarah Harvey. Sarah Harvey being Redcoat and being the Black Widow veil person was so random and so out of the blue for a character that we don't really explore and has no relevance to anybody else on the show. I would have dropped her completely from the show. I genuinely, like, I get irate about her. Genuinely, I'm fuming because she's like in the main points of the show, and like the biggest points of the show is nothing, comes to nothing. We get like no clear answers on her, and I find that so odd and so confusing. I would have dropped her completely. However, if we wanted to include her still, which I don't, I would have changed it so that she was Bethany, or she was someone at least to do with the story. There's so many good theories out there written by fans about what she could have been, but for the show to turn around and be like, oh yeah, by the way, she's these really important characters, but she's just this random person, I was like, what? Genuinely, I would just get rid of her completely. I'd also do that with Noel as well. My ongoing thing with Noel is that I think he's the most irrelevant character in the show, because he's like in the main plot points of the show and like the big ones. Like, he helped Alison run away, he helped build the dollhouse, blah blah blah. But like, why? We never really get an explanation as to why. If it was for money, he's not really poor. I know him working with Jenna was to do with money, but the dollhouse thing, I don't really get. Why would he help build the dollhouse? I know he didn't like the girls, but he wouldn't hate them enough to talk to them. Helping Alison run away too, and keeping it a secret. I don't really understand. I don't get it at all. So I would have just eliminated Noel from the show, whether that's through death or through him just like being written out. Let's do it. Because I just don't get it. I just don't get it, like, at all. Also, Garrett, I have an issue with. Garrett trying to get away with a murder that he didn't commit was very, very weird. Him stealing autopsy photos for a murder that he didn't commit was very, very weird. He knows that he didn't kill Alison because Alison was very much alive when he last saw her. So him doing all the sketchy things that he did. Who else do I want to get rid of in the show? Well, I'm a hater. I'm a big hater. Paige. Emily and Paige being a couple after Paige tried to drown Emily was certainly a choice. And I think Paige is a bit overhated. She's also annoying, and I would not have had them together at all. I'm not a fan. I'm not a Nikki fan. I also, and I don't know if this is unpopular, but I would have not made Toby and Spencer a thing after Toby joined the A-team. I think Toby and Spencer were very bad together. I don't think they were good for each other at all, and I would not have made them endgame, especially after Toby did the whole A thing and like literally drove Spencer to insanity through his like fake dead body. I think that should have been it for them two, and that should have been it for Toby. Getting them back together, making Spencer join the A-team, and Toby facing no consequences for any of what he did, I thought was weird, and I would have dropped that completely, and I would have made Toby get some type of consequence for what he did, because he literally drove Spencer to insanity. Spencer went to Radley, like it was severe, and to be in that mental state is so, like, it's a lot. It's, you know, it feels very heavy. So for Toby to put Spencer through that, and then it's just like, oh, it's all forgotten because they're in love. No, because I don't think anyone who loves each other would do that. I think if Toby loved Spencer, he wouldn't do that. I know he like tries to reason it and be like, oh yeah, but that's because I wanted to protect you. I'm sick of these men in TV shows doing this, trying to be the savior and the protector, and then like actually making the person worse, and then like facing no consequences. So I would have written Toby out of the show at that point, and I would not have made them endgame. And I really liked the Toby and Yvonne relationship. I would not have killed Yvonne. I think that relationship was really healthy for Toby at that point. I'm not saying Toby deserves it, but whatever. And I think getting rid of that to do the endgame thing with Spencer was very unnecessary, because I just think at that point they'd outgrown each other and they just like weren't good for each other. They were not good people, and I think that's very underlooked. So I would not have had them together at the end of the show or any time after Toby became A. The whole Nate killed Maya thing, this was super annoying because it was like quite a big death and so much behind it in terms of like, oh my god, was it A, was it Alison, blah blah blah. It being Nate and having no relevance to the story was so bizarre, and I would have dropped that storyline completely. I would have not done it. And I would have just scrapped it and did something else, because it having no relevance to the plot, what are we doing then? This is a waste of time. This is completely a waste of time. I loved Maya. I really, really liked Maya. I think Maya was really good for Emily, better than Alison, and for her to die in a big way and like at an important point in the story, but then for it to have no relevance to the actual plot point, I think was such a mistake. I would have changed it, and I think it was really interesting if we would have had Ren kill Maya or Alison kill Maya. I think Ren being the big bad A and being revealed as Charles would have worked in hand with maybe Maya found out and therefore he killed her. And I like the whole thing of like, maybe Maya found out Alison was alive because Maya was hanging out with Noel, and then Alison decided to kill her or something like that. I would have loved for that to happen, because that has relevance to the story and the plot point. Such a big death involving big characters on the show, and I feel like it just like got wasted. So I would have just dropped it completely. I don't know if I would have dropped it completely actually, because not that I enjoyed Maya dying, but I think for the progression of the story it maybe did need to happen. Love Maya and I didn't want her to die, but I don't know how the story would have progressed with Maya still being in the picture, if that makes any sense. So maybe I wouldn't have dropped it, but just kind of changed it and alterated it so that someone relevant to the story and the plot point actually killed Maya, instead of it just like leading to absolutely nothing. I think also a lot of what I would change would be the various serious topics on the show. I think the show handled the serious topics badly. Arya's personality, Emily's sexuality, Hannah's body image, and then, oh my gosh, Spencer's addiction. I think the handling of all of these was so bad, because they would kind of explore it for like an episode and then continue like nothing ever happened, and then a few episodes later or a few seasons later kind of revisit it again, then like pretend it never happened. So I would have changed a lot with those individual storylines completely. I think Hannah's was done really bad. As someone who resonates with Hannah quite a lot, looking into that story and the way that the show handled it, I think wasn't done to the best that it could have been. Also, Cece being the only trans character and being the villain was very odd. Just their whole handling of diversity on the show. A lot of the people who died were people of colour, or the villains of the show were the diverse characters on the show, and having your only trans character be the villain, although I liked Cece being A, but I would have liked it a different story. I think it's both important to bring awareness to transgender diversity, but also having your only character be the villain, I think was not handled completely correct at all. NAT Club, I would have changed as well. I really liked the NAT Club, and I really liked how they were doing the thing of like all the members of the NAT Club were like slowly dying one by one. I was so interested in the NAT Club, and it was such a big thing for like a few episodes, and then they just kind of like stopped it, and it kind of came to nothing. And I feel like you had this really big and good thing going. I would have killed off every member, I'm gonna be honest. I really like how they were going with that. I really like it. So I would have given it a bit more relevance to the story, and killing all of them or whatever, or one of them being A and killing all the other members, I think would have been really cool. I would have kept the NAT Club kind of going with that story, because I don't like how it ended. I loved the NAT Club stuff. Loved it. Sorry, going back to the Noel thing, because I forgot to say it. I would have made Noel a good guy in the show. In the books, he's a good guy, and he ends up being endgame with Arya. And I wish in the show that would have happened, because I would have liked to root for Arya and Noel, but Noel was such an idiot in the show, I couldn't do that. The show did that on purpose because they wanted us to love Arya and Ezra, but unfortunately it doesn't work. I don't like it. I hate it. So I would have made Noel a good guy, and I would have put them together. I think that would have been interesting. I would have also made Lucas gay as well. I think that could have been a really interesting storyline to go through with Lucas, and add a bit more seriousness to the show with exploring his sexuality, like how we explored Emily's, but do it correctly. Couldn't tell if I liked Lucas or not. I think I did, because I understand a lot of his character, but then there were times where I was like, oh, don't vibe with you. That's the same with Jenna. To me, is a very confusing character, because sometimes she's portrayed like she's good, but in other times she's portrayed like she's bad. And I think the show just needed to stick with one direction of where they were going with Jenna, because I could never decide. I didn't like her character because of what she did with Toby, but then other times the show would make us sympathize with her and stuff, and I couldn't really tell what direction they were going in with her. I would have changed it and either made her good or bad. You can only have one way, and I don't really know where I stand with Jenna. I'll be honest. I think she's a weird one. She is a real weird one to kind of decide how I feel, because I don't like her because of the Toby thing, but then there's other things, and I'm just like, so I'm like, when they did the Toby thing, which is different to the books, then they should have decided, right, we're going down the route of she's a bad person, she's a bad character, rather than consistently changing the narrative on her. That is it for this video. Let me know if you'd like a part 2, because I have so many things I would change. If you want me to do a video where I rewrite the entire show, I'd be so down to do that. So let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions down below regarding some of what I said today. I'd also love to hear your own as well. Make sure to like and subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.